with this team in this period in Atlanta where we have become America's team. Everyone knows us. We're on TV every night. We have to win this World Series.
For me, it was like almost like a huge relief because we done went through regular season, postseason, and now here we are at the big dance.
Obviously, baseball is the best sport there is. So when you go to the World Series, you're the only game. That's it. If you love baseball, you're watching the World Series. And to be in that situation is exactly what all of us as kids dream of.
For me, it was the first time going into the World Series as a starting catcher. It was like a dream come true. It's like every baseball player's dream, not only to play baseball, but when I remember when I was a kid hitting rock with a broomstick in the roof of my house. I used to pretend I was, Maguire, Canseco, major league players playing in the World Series and either hitting the game-winning home run or catching the last fly ball to win the World Series. Those are the things I was imagining myself doing. And being in the World Series, all those dreams that I dreamed as a kid really came true.
It was an opportunity, it was a chance to pitch in the World Series. I mean, growing up as a kid, you're always pitching in the World Series in your backyard. You're facing your brother with the wiffle ball, and now to actually have a chance to start a World Series game is pretty special. And the anticipation and the days leading up to that, you don't sleep as well as you do during the season, but the excitement's at an all-time high, and it's just it's a special week.
Well, you have to feel a little bit pressure because, you walk out there before the game during batting practice and there's wall-to-wall media from around the world.
It was bigger than what I thought. All the media, all the fans, it seems like the whole world was looking at us. And we were like the target. So every move you make, people are watching.
So it is certainly different. You're signing more baseballs. You're fulfilling more media requests. You've got ticket requests. You've got all these different things. So you can't help but feel the more pressure because you know that it's bigger. And you've got people setting up stages, and you've got Darius Rucker singing the national anthem, and you've got Chrissy Hines there, and so you just know people wanting to come to the clubhouse, and your Elton John's with you, and Dale Earnhardt, and so you can't. Bill Murray shows up, so you can't help but know that it's different. Even though you try to downplay it, it's all fine once you get in the game, but before the game, it's all building up a little bit.
Nerve-wracking. Nerves were at a 10.
I knew I wasn't going to be able to sleep. And it was opening day of a deer season in Georgia, and I was like, man, my dad's coming up. We were right outside of Oglethorpe in Montezuma, Georgia, but they were staying in Perry, Georgia, at a hotel. And I was like, I'm gonna go down because I'm not gonna be able to sleep. I'm gonna wake up and go hunt for a couple hours. I'm gonna come back to Atlanta. Hopefully get a couple hours on the training table and then strap it up in game one. Tomorrow's going to be the greatest day ever, opening day of deer season and playing in game one of the World Series facing Oral Hershiser. Who's had that day ever, Me, I have. So, yeah, I go down and I'm laying in my truck and my dad comes out of his room and he knocks on my window and he's like, "The heck are you doing?" I was like, "Let's go, man. Ready to go hunting." It's like, "You got a game tonight." And I was like, yeah, I know. I'll hunt till 10 or 11 and I'll get a couple hours for the game. Of course, I went 0 for 4, that night. So Dad was like, please don't do that again. Please don't. I was like, I'm exhausted. I'm going home tonight.
The weather is just perfect in Atlanta, the Georgia state capital, on this late October evening. The temperature is in the low 60s. Atlanta Fulton County Stadium filling up for the first game of the World Series. The World Series to be played here for the 3rd time in the last 5 seasons. And it's the Cleveland Indians, the champions of the American League, against the National League champion Atlanta Braves. And welcome to Atlanta, everyone. I'm Al Michaels, and we think this is a very attractive matchup. The Cleveland Indians, despite playing only 144 games in this truncated season, won 100 of them, and they're in the World Series for the first time since 1954. It's a team with a lot of power, a lot of speed, and a .291 collective batting average. No team has hit .291 or better since 1950. A team led by the great Albert Bell, their left fielder, who, despite playing in 143 games this season, still hit 50 home runs, 17 of them coming during the month of September. A very good pitching staff as well, but it's overlooked because of their great power and batting ability.
1995 World Series, we're going to play Cleveland. And Cleveland had dominated the American League that year. Far and away the best offense in the majors. Top to bottom, what a scary lineup. Kenny Lofton led off for them. He was the most exciting player in baseball in 1995. Really the scariest part of that lineup, even though he was a slap-hitting leadoff guy, you knew if he was on base, he was going to be on third in no time. It was automatic. Carlos Baerga hit second for them, and despite the star power in that lineup, Carlos Baerga was probably their MVP that year. And then that leads up to the big guns. They had Albert Bell. Albert Bell was the AL MVP in 95, 50 homers and 50 doubles. People just don't get 100 extra base hits in a season, and he was in the middle of that lineup. And then you have young guys like Jim Thome and Manny Ramirez. They had Eddie Murray, who's on his way to the Hall of Fame, DHing. They had Sandy Alomar, who's an all-star every year. That lineup had no weak spots. And so going into the World Series, it was really going to be our pitching against their hitting.
Looking back at it now, best lineup I ever faced in the big leagues, no question about it. From top to bottom, everybody in that lineup could hurt you in different ways. Kenny Lofton at the top of the lineup, certainly not a home run guy, but he could beat you with his legs. So you had that element to have to deal with, and then pretty much everybody else in the lineup could take you out in the ballpark. So it was tough. And I remember, when we finally got to the point where we knew we were going to face them, I think we all went into that series knowing how good they were offensively and what a tough task it was going to be. But I think we all ultimately felt good about that, that old cliche that good pitching beats good hitting.
Okay, so now we're playing Cleveland, all right? And I just remember Cleveland. I remember being in right field. I want to say it might have been game 1. And every player that came to bat, I would turn and look at the scoreboard to look at their statistical numbers for the year. And I just remember laughing to myself that these dudes got Nintendo numbers. Everybody on their team was raking. They had a young Manny Ramirez, young Jim Thome. They had veterans and Eddie Murray. They had Oral Hershiser over there, another veteran. They had this great year. Albert Bell, one of the best, hitters in the game at the time as well. Kenny Lofton, one of the best leadoff hitters in the game at that time. I just remember, man, these guys can flat out hit.
First of all, when I got there, Maddux, Glavine, Smoltz, Avery, all those guys, Barbeau, and all those guys came up to me and asked me, what is going on with Cleveland? Because these guys are balling. The team average was over 300. And I said to them, everybody on the team can hit. And a lot of the pitchers in the American League throw around a lot of guys and end up with guys on base. Next thing you know, the next guy coming up, he's hitting 300 also. And the thing about the Braves, the pitching staff, the Braves, they went after everybody.
And the team that we were playing was pretty much similar to our team. You know, they had speed, they had power, they had some Gold Glovers, they had some Hall of Famers, and we knew we had our work cut out. And we just had to get up and muscle up for it. That's all it was to it. You know, we gotta play hard. We gotta out pitch them. We gotta out hit them. We gotta play real good defense.
My biggest thing was, Lord, let us put together our best games. Because in '91, we didn't put together our best games. We had a chance to win in Game 7. Couldn't get the big hit when we needed. 92 with the Ed Sprague hits the home run in '92. That oh man, just kind of stuck I won't say a dagger quite yet, but that was a severe blow. So I was just hoping, let us play clean, the way I know we can play, no mistakes. If we can do this, we'll win this World Series.
Hit down to short, and Belliard drops it, picks it up, and has no play. Belliard, normally a very good glove man, and he would very often come in to spell Blauser defensively, gets the start in place of the injured Blauser, and begins the World Series with an error.
And often it's not only that you make an error, but when you make an error allowing one of the fastest guys in the majors to get on base, that could be the beginning of a big inning.
The heart of a very powerful lineup.
He goes, the pitch is strike 3, and the throw is not in time. Lofton goes, the pitch is low, the throw is not in time. Jones put the glove down, the throw is right there, but Kenny Lofton steals third. And he hits a soft grounder to short. It will score a run. Belliard takes care of Baerga, but the legs of Lofton create the first run of the World Series.
So Game 1, Kenny Lofton gets on base. And I swear it felt like, I don't remember exactly, but all I know is Kenny Lofton scored on a ground ball, and they didn't get a hit in the first inning, which made me think, we got to keep Kenny Lofton off the base, because I don't think we're going to be able to throw him out, because he had stolen second and third base.
I try not to put too much pressure on myself. You always have many goals in games, and one of my many goals in a game was I'm allowed to give up 1 run every 3 innings. So if I can, you allow yourself a little bit of room, where you don't have to throw a shutout. At least that's how I did it. And, I gave up the run early, and I'm okay. If I can get the next 2 innings with zeros, I'm in good shape. I'm kind of right where I want to be.
Half swing, got him. 3 up, 3 down, end of 1.5. It remains Cleveland 1, Atlanta 0.
But although we have good pitching, we can hit too.
I mean, Kolesko, McGriff, Marquise, Justice. I mean, you had these guys that could ball.
For me, the first game 1, you have the butterflies and everything, because this is it. This is the World Series that you've always wanted to play in.
Freddie McGriff to lead off. And he launches one to deep right field. She's gone to tie it.
I hit a home run against Oral Hershiser. Guy was looking dead red, and he threw me a nice little cookie right there, and I shot him out the yard.
Bases loaded, nobody out. The runners get their leads. Here's the 0-1 pitch to Polonia. Ground ball hit out toward short, fielded by Vizquel. He can't get it out of his glove. Steps on second just in time. Now drops the ball, but he dropped it taking it out of his glove. Fred McGriff scores to give Atlanta a 2-1 lead. Bobby Cox is going to come out and argue with Bruce Fleming that Vizquel didn't get to the bag in time. Jimmy Williams also racing over. Bobby holding him back. He's going to argue with Fleming.
Yeah, I remember that. I think it was Luis Polonia hit a ground ball to Vizquel and hit Babo. And Bobby go to the umpire, and they was talking over there. for Jimmy Wheeler give me the sign right away. So I remember to say, come on, Bobby, come on out. I'm ready. Let's go.
He bunts, the squeeze is on, he lays it down, they'll get a run. Perfect. The out at first, and it's 3-1.
One man out. Here's Ramirez. The wind by Maddux in the pitch. Bouncing ball right back to Greg Maddux on a broken bat. Throwing to first in time, 2 down. And that's 10 straight set down by Greg Maddux.
I mean, I don't know how many times you sit there and you just have to remind yourself, hey, good pitching beats good hitting any day of the week and twice on Sunday. And, if you tell yourself that enough times, you kind of start to believe it. And I mean, you just realize you're going to have to execute or you're going to lose. You're going to get embarrassed again. So, you have to be able to execute your game plan, hope you have the right game plan, and then be able to execute it as the game's going on.
Here's the line, the 1-2 on the way. Baerga swings, popped up, foul territory, third base side. Chipper Jones racing over to the Cleveland dugout, makes the catch. 1 down, 3 to go. The Braves win game 1 on a superb pitching effort by Greg Maddux. Your final score in game 1, Atlanta 3, Cleveland 2.
I can just remember the ball going up, and I'm thinking to myself, okay, I've got the all-world shortstop in Rafael Belliard over here, but I wanted to make that. I wanted to catch that last out, man. I wanted to be able to hand that ball to Doggy through a complete game, and just hearing, I was just coming down and catching it and hearing the roar of that crowd, knowing that we had a 1-0 lead on, one of the scariest lineups you're ever going to face was pretty cool.
And let's see how they work to Javy. He's got to be patient here. Get something he can drive out of the ballpark, or out of the infield rather. Tonight, each time up, he has swung at the first pitch. He is 0 for 2, a ground out and a fly out. And the first pitch to him, he takes on the inside corner. He spins out of the way, but McKean said it caught the corner, 0-1.
On that particular at bat, I thought they weren't going to pick me. I have Rafael Belliard, and after Belliard was the pitcher behind me. So I thought they wasn't going to pitch me. But once I got into the batter box, Dennis Martinez threw the first pitch. I'm like, okay, they're going to try to get me out. So that was the moment for me where I can say, this is my opportunity. This is my chance for me to do something really good for myself and for the team.
Go ahead run at third. 1 out. Crowd coming to life, and the 1-2 pitch to Lopez. Another sidearm pitch driven deep to center field. Back goes Lofton, away back. That ball is gone. 4-2 Atlanta.
And luckily, it was the at bat where I hit that home run to give us the lead. And then later on that game.
And the 1-1 pitch is on the way. Here it is. Swung, broken bat pop, short center field. Everybody chasing it. It's going to drop for a hit. Grissom up with the ball on the second hop. And the tying run is aboard with 1 away, and Jim Thome is the batter.
I saw Manuel Ramirez taking a big lead in first base. I saw the opportunity right away. I get the attention from Fred McGriff. I attack the dirt like he and I always do whenever I'm ready to throw it first. I have to give him a sign so he'd be ready. Touch the ground. I make sure I watch this video all the time. I give Alejandro a fastball in, open in, giving the fist, you know, pumped up. He threw exactly what I wanted.
The stretch, the left-hand hitter waits. And the 2-2 pitch, here it is. High and inside, set throw to first, they got him! What a throw by Lopez, quick tag by McGriff. And Ramirez, representing the tying run, is picked up.
That was a perfect angle for me to catch the ball and throw Manny Ramirez out. And it was a perfect throw. I didn't realize how big of a play was it until I keep watching the video more and more, and I realized that could be an inning where it could open up for the Indians, or that was the moment for me to stop them right away and avoid all the potential runs they could have scored. And yeah, the more I watch it, the more I'm glad I was part of that play.
A throw in to first base, and they got him. Ramirez, with the mistake of a youngster in a World Series game, straying off first.
That was a planned pickoff play, though. You saw the sign by Javier Lopez inside, and then he gave him the fist, like you're really pumping in there. And see, he's already throwing already. He's ready to go. That was a planned play. They saw Ramirez was getting too big a lead at first base.
Boy, and they had him by plenty, Joe. Great pitch by Pena for a catcher to throw on.
Right, up
high
and
and
in.
tight, come right out behind the hitter. There's nobody in your way. I mean, you got a clear shot to first, and he threw a strike.
So Javy had a big postseason, had some big hits, big moments. His biggest was probably not even at the plate. When he picked off Manny Ramirez at first base, such a momentum shift, not only for that game, but for the series. In the World Series, outs are so precious. Every out is a big deal. Anytime you have a base runner, it's a rally, especially against that lineup. If there's a base runner, you know you're potentially a pitch away from a 2-run homer. Our pitchers didn't need a ton of help, but when Javy picked off Manny, that was such a boost to the team for that game and for the series.
Again, the 3-2. And this one is popped up. It's Chipper Jones, and it's 2-0 Atlanta.
We had the momentum. We had the adrenaline, and we started the game at home and win the first 2 games. That gave us an even bigger release.
Not going, and a drive toward the right field corner. Big trouble if it's fair, which it is. Lofton loses his helmet as he speeds around third. Vizquel wants a triple as Lofton scores, and that ball is in there.
We go there for game 3. And when we went there for game 3, it was one of the most exciting environments I had ever been in. It felt like I was at a European soccer match. You know what I mean? Or a Japanese playoff game in Japan. You know, like everybody's standing. They're banging a drum.
Hit toward first. McGriff's going to take it. But Vizquel is going to score, and it's 2-1. Baerga with an RBI groundout. I don't know if you folks at home are experiencing the din which is apparent to us as Bell steps in and takes high, but this is approaching the Kingdome level in terms of noise, you.
Yeah, it was a different story in Atlanta, despite the fact that the Braves won 2 there. The crowd noise was rather subdued in difference to here.
I do remember running out for game 1 and turning around and running back inside because I had misjudged how cold it was going to be. we were going from 90 in Atlanta to 35, 40 degree snow flurries in Cleveland.
I can't feel my, I mean, I can't feel my fingertips. I'm throwing the ball in between innings to get loose. And I'm like, man, I can't feel it. I can't feel the ball. I mean, it's just not, it's not there.
I had, ironically, my worst postseason start ever in Cleveland. Cold game, didn't last very long.
Stops at second, another RBI for Harrah. 3-1 Cleveland. Hit hard toward the middle, it's through. Vizquel is going to score, an RBI for Bell.
We ended up losing in extra innings, and I only lasted like 2 1/3 or 2 2/3.
He lines it into center. Here comes the pinch runner, Espinosa. Grissom fires to the plate. The Indians are back in the World Series.
They beat us game 3, and then which one of the things I always say is, hey fellas, the other team over there is good too, so don't anticipate that we're gonna sweep them. They're gonna get 1 or 2. The key is we got to get to 4.
You know, I just remember after batting practice of game 3, Bobby came up to me and said, we're going to give you the ball tomorrow. And I wasn't surprised. I mean, Bobby had always shown confidence in me, but to throw me into that situation, we went on to lose that game 3. So game 4 obviously was a big swing game for us to either go up 3-1 or down 2-2 or tied 2-2. So to get that one was huge. And like I said, I've always just appreciated the fact that Bobby wasn't afraid to put me out there.
This is the genius of Bobby Cox. He goes, Lee, I want to start Avery. Me, I wanted to bring Maddux and Glavine back a day early, you know. Go for the juggler. And he goes, he's 2 reasons, Leo. He said, number 1, he said, I'm going to reward Avery for all the great pitching he's done for us over the years. And he said, and number 2, he said that allows Maddux and Glavine on normal rest.
I'm not sure there's ever been a more controversial start in the World Series. I mean, you figure we have 3 Hall of Famers and then me, who had struggled a lot of the year.
So Steve Avery had the postseason pedigree, 1991. He's the baby-faced assassin. You know, he dominated the Pirates that year. Again in 92, did it again. But by 95, Abe had a rough year. He wasn't right. He made his starts all season, but was never right. And so going into the postseason, it's a big question. Do we need a 4th starter? Maddux, Glavine, Smoltz, you can get by with 3 in the postseason. And so the question is, do we start Abe? There's no easy place to slip somebody in and get your feet wet in the postseason. Every game is essential. And Bobby went with his guy. Bobby went with Abe, not because there was a good matchup or not because he felt like he was righting himself. Bobby went with Avery because he said, that's my guy and I trust him.
Well, Abe was an amazing competitor. He didn't have his best year. I think he ended up coming out of the bullpen some, and then but he did pitch some huge games for us down the stretch, and we needed him. He picked us up in a way that we just couldn't imagine because he had a pretty rough year. He's going through some tough stuff with his son, was born premature, and he spent a lot of time at the hospital. So he ended up, I think, hurting himself a little bit, his shoulder.
That was part of my problem. We had our son, and he was born early, so he was in the hospital. In 94, I'd gone back and forth all year to Michigan. Like after every start, I'd fly home, come back down, pitch, fly back home. So that was a long year. And then, you know, for us to, you know, they didn't really give us much notice. They just said, well, you know, you guys are on strike. It got to be April. I mean, I hadn't even picked up a ball. I think me and Mark Lemke played catch one time in the tennis court at my house. And so I wasn't prepared at all. They said, all right, you got 3 weeks to get ready. And, you know, mentally, I just wasn't all there. So It was a rougher year for me. Obviously, I struggled with some injuries, and you know, that's what makes kind of what happened at the end of the year even more special.
2-2 with 2 out, 2 on, no score in the first inning, and that's grounded down to third, and Jones goes to Lemke. Every night. Off speed, grounded to short. There's the force, and that's line to right field, but right into the glove. Ooh, strike 3, looking away and got it in. Hit down to short, scooped up by Belliard. 1 down. And that will bring up Perry.
That's what Avery wants all the right-handed hitters to do tonight, is to try to pull the changeup on the outside, play pepper with the shortstop all night long.
Steve started off the game against Cleveland. And this is how the coach adjusts. This is how, and he's throwing changeup after changeup after changeup. You know, and I'm going, that's a lot of changeups this early. I'm thinking to myself. So I said, when Steve come in, I said, Steve, I said, remember now, changing speeds is also pushing the throttle, not just pulling it. They can't hit that pitch, Leo. I said, okay. Well, you know, go around the lineup, you know, again, you know, might see it again, might start sitting on it. So I mentioned that to him about 2 or 3 times.
I remember during the game, Leo kept coming up to me and saying, he kept telling me, you need to throw your fastball, because, I mean, they were just so aggressive. I threw probably 110 pitches, and probably more than half were changeups, which I never did before, so I don't think they were ready for it. I don't think Leo was ready for it, and he kept reminding me, but I said, Leo, I got this.
And finally, he looked at me and says, I'm telling you, they can't hit that pitch. And I looked at Steve and I said, you know what I'd do if I were you? He goes, what? I said, I'd keep throwing it. And he did, and he pitched good.
Hey, so I've always, you know, loved Leo. He was, you know, my biggest supporter. He would get on you a little bit. He knew I liked to pitch mad. So he wasn't afraid to make me a little bit angry when I went out there. And sometimes it worked, sometimes it didn't, but our relationship's still great to this day.
You have to know your individuals. You have to know their emotional state. You have to know, in other words, their emotional state or their type of personality is going to give you the approach that you're going to use. In other words, you're going to use a firm approach. You're going to use a light approach.
1 ball, 2 strikes the count. And he got him down and in to end the inning. 1-1 through 6.
It was what you would expect from a you know, a guy like that, just big time player. And so he didn't have his best year that he had the years before, but when we needed him, he pitched a huge game.
Batting for Atlanta, the designated hitter, number 18, Ryan Klesko.
Ryan Klesko was a big part of that 95 team. He had come up at the end of 1992 as a big prospect for us. Was going to be an everyday guy in 93. He's a big slugging first baseman. Problem is we had Fred McGriff playing first base. Klesko in his entire Braves career never really got to play his natural position. We ended up putting him in left field because we need his bat. He could have come along at any other point in Braves history, and we would have handed him first base and said, it's all yours. It just didn't happen in that time, but we had to have his bat. People maybe remember Klesko as, you know, this big guy who took huge swings, bat flipped a little bit, had his moments. If you go back and look, Klesko's a better hitter than you remember. His on-base percentage, in an era when no one thought about on-base percentage, was outstanding. His slugging percentage is historically good in Braves history. If you go back and look, he still ranks among the Braves all-time leaders in slugging percentage. Klesko was a really good hitter. And in that 95 postseason, he came up big. Typically, guys who are big slingers, swing and miss guys get exposed in the postseason. That's not who Klesko was. 95 World Series, he homers in all 3 games in Cleveland. Big moment home runs. And so, you know, the memory of Klesko maybe needs to be corrected of what a good player he was for us.
And they both pitched a lot last night as that's drilled to right field and out of here. So Klesko didn't like the call on the prior pitch, and then Hill sends one into the groove for him, and Klesko, who homered off Hill on the 9th of June in Atlanta when Ken was with the St. Louis Cardinals, duplicates the feat here, 1-0.
I mean, amazing. I mean, it was cold there, you know. the ball carried great in Cleveland. You know, I hit the ball hard the first couple games. Omar Vizquel made 2 really good plays on me. I was hitless, and I was swinging a lot of off-speed pitches, but I was hitting the ball decent. I just got to keep it away from Omar. Omar's just taking it. I'm driving, you know, he's still like 2 base hits from me. I finally said, well, if I hit it over the fence, they ain't gonna catch it.
Greg McMichael comes in to pitch. Avery pitching extremely well tonight. In the air to left field and deep. Devereaux goes back and can't make the play. It's off the scoreboard, and Tomey winds up at second.
Remember, you've played all the spring training, the whole season, and now you've basically, you know, first round playoffs, second round playoffs, now the World Series. So your body's not in tip-top shape. So you're almost kind of holding on, you know, for dear life and just trying to finish strong. But the mental games can get to you no matter when it is. So yeah, I don't think I remember saying that specifically, but I do remember like, okay, everybody's watching. I need to make some really good pitches right now.
Gives up a leadoff double, and that's grounded to the right side. Lemke throws him out. The runner advances, and he grounds that one into the glove of McGriff. And because he is playing even with a bag, he's able to hold Tomey at third. And that's grounded down to Jones at third. And they get out of the inning without the Indians cutting into the lead. With 1 out was the launching pad. That's grounded down to McGriff. And Freddie will do it himself. 1 away. Little squibber.
Changeup. Yep, there it is. Changeup.
McGriff throws him out. 2 down. And Murray hits that on the ground to short. Billiard throws him out. And an easy inning for McMichael. To the 9th in Cleveland. Atlanta 4, Cleveland 1. Braves on top 5-1 going to the bottom of the 9th inning. And with a 4-run lead, despite having pitched last night an extended 2 2/3 innings, the Atlanta Braves can smell it. And when you can smell it, you go to your bullpen and you bring in Mark Wohlers. And so here he is. 2-2 is hit in the air to deep left center field. And that one is in the bleachers. Line drive, base hit into left center, and maybe more as it rolls to the wall. And Sorrento is in at second with a double. Such a strange game. You go to Wohlers to close him out. He can't do it. So now you have to go backwards in a way. Right. You bring in Bourbon. Bourbon has pitched 1 time in postseason, October 6th.
Honestly, what I remember is I was really upset because I haven't pitched for 21 days, and I faced 4 guys in Colorado, and I struck out 3 out of the. I'm talking about Dante Bichette, Galarraga, and Vinny Casilla. So I felt like that I didn't pitch against the series in Cincinnati. So I just came with an attitude like I didn't care. I literally threw probably 10 pitches in a bullpen, and I said I don't care what happens. So it worked on my advantage because I just wasn't even nervous. I was just mad. So if you look at the video, I'm mad. I'm not overwhelmed. I'm just mad. And it did happened to me because I probably would have been a little more overwhelming if I was just too relaxed. I was just mad. I didn't care about the outcome. But it benefited the team and me having that attitude because I just didn't care.
Ball strike 3. Pedro Bourbon, for the first time in almost 3 weeks, goes to a mound, falls behind 2-0. And on a 2-2 pitch, that's a beauty. How strange has this baseball season been? Remember the replacement players? Pedro's father, Pedro Sr., in his late 40s, was a replacement player. And here's Junior trying to save Game 4 of the World Series. And he strikes him out. Alomar is gone. 2 down in the 9th inning, and Lofton comes up. And that's line to right field, and backing up and making the catch is Justice. Lofton smoking into right field. Wohler's the first guy out of the dugout. A star is born right there. Pedro Borbon Jr. The pitching coach, Leo Mazzone, heaves a sigh of relief, and the kid comes out of the pen with the crowd in a frenzy, and he stills them in Cleveland.
Now we come to Game 5. We got Maddux on the mound, and I'm like, oh, we got him. We're going to win. But the only thing I was thinking at that time was, yeah, but I wish we could have won. See, I had already penciled it in. I said, I wish we could have won at home in front of our fans, because we're about to win tonight in front of their fans, which is totally different, right? And then they beat us, Game 5, and they beat Maddux.
And he hits it in the air down the right field line and into the corner, and just like last night, gone. Same spot. And it's lined back through the middle to give the Indians the lead. Through the middle, and that one's hit into right field to make it 4-2 by Ramiro. Back to Georgia.
As each game passed, the pressure was starting to mount. Because again, we have to win this World Series. Because we lose this World Series, who's to say we'll be back in this position again next year? Because, as I told you earlier, you don't know how big your window is. And there's no way with this team, in this period in Atlanta, where we have become America's team, everyone knows us. We're on TV every night. We have to win this World Series.
Back we come to Atlanta. The Cleveland Indians, buoyed by their victory in Game 5 over Greg Maddux before a wild hometown crowd, trying to force this World Series to its limit with a win tonight. The Atlanta Braves, on the other hand, hopeful of putting the finishing touches on the one achievement that has eluded them in their sustained run of excellence, a World Series championship. We'll talk about tonight's pitching pairing. It's a reprise of Game 2. Tom Glavine, the left-hander, goes for Atlanta. The 40-year-old right-hander Dennis Martinez will try again for the Indians.
Truth be told, I was pissed that I had to pitch. Because we had a chance to win it in Game 5, and we didn't do it. And I know that you're always of the mindset when you're in a short series like that, you got a chance to put somebody away. You want to put them away because you do not want to give them any momentum or any feeling like, hey, they're in this thing or they can come back. So being up 3-1, we had a chance to put it to bed. We didn't. Now it's 3-2. Momentum's on their side. And, that's the odd dynamic in the postseason when you're the next pitcher. If there's a chance you don't have to pitch because you won, your mindset is you don't want to pitch. When you're on the other side of it and it's, hey, we got to win in order for me to pitch again, you want to pitch. So it's mentally, it's a really odd dynamic. So obviously that whole game, I'm hoping we win and I don't have to pitch again. So when we lost and now I got to kind of gear it up again and pitch, I was pissed, mostly because we didn't win. And it really wasn't until we landed in Atlanta late that next morning that I really started to embrace what it was and the opportunity that I had. Been here through some really bad years, been here when we've gotten really close, and now here I got an opportunity to deliver something to this team in this city that we haven't been able to do. So I really started to embrace the opportunity.
The fans here in Atlanta were among the most angered in the country at last season's baseball strike, and they showed it at the start of the season by not showing up at this ballpark. Those that did show up, however, vented much of their anger against Tom Glavine, tonight's starting pitcher for the Braves, because Glavine was an outspoken player representative for this team during the strike. How ironic now that tonight those same fans with booed Tom Glavine at the start of the season are now cheering him, imploring him to deliver this team's first World Series title.
I never put much stock in how I warmed up before a game, because there were too many times where I warmed up really good and I went out there thinking, man, today's going to be the day, and I just got killed. And then there were other days where I warmed up and I'm walking from the bullpen to the dugout thinking, oh my God, I better figure something out. And then I'd go out there and something would click. So I got to the point where all I really cared about was, how do I feel? You know, did I warm up good, whatever. When I walked in from that warm-up session, I knew I was good. I knew I had a good bullpen. And for me, it was all about going out there for that first inning, which I was notoriously not very good in, and really assessing, okay, what do I have? And when I went out there and had a 1-2-3 top of the first inning, as I was walking back in, I knew, okay, what you had out there, you just brought it with you. You got it.
In the air to right center field. Justice is in pursuit of this and calling. And he's got it. Here's the 2-2. Struck him out. Bounce back to Glavine. He's out of the first. 1-2-3. Finishes the inning with his 5th strikeout through 3. He's gone for the 6th strikeout recorded by Glavine. Struck him out. 7 strikeouts through 5.
We start the game and Glavine start pitching the first couple innings. He pitched marvelous. And I knew he had it that night. It was for me to make sure I put the right fingers down for him. I make sure I gave him a good location, way in, way out. That particular game, I was focusing so much on my defense more than anything else. I wanted to help him as much as I could offensively, but we have 8 other players who can do that for me. So I was focused on Glavine and make sure he pitched a marvelous game.
I can just remember the frustration building in our dugout as the game went on, because nothing against El Presidente, you know, on the other side, but we missed some opportunities to score some runs and give Glav, you know, a bit of a cushion against a really good lineup. Like I said, you know, that one mistake and you're losing.
Glav was pitching an incredible game. And I remember there were stories, of course, I was in the bullpen, I wasn't in the dugout, but I remember seeing video and remember him tell the story about when he came in the dugout, just give me one. Just give me one's all I need.
I remember when Glavine said to us, I just need one guy, come on. And he know that he have it that night.
And as the game went on, obviously I got more and more confident, a little bit more and more bravado, so to speak.
When he came in the 6th and said, boys, all I need is one, everybody was like, oh man, E.F. Hutton just spoke, you know, because Glav, when he pitched, he didn't converse much. He didn't like a lot of company.
I said, you know, just get me one run, because they're not getting any now. Truth be told, it's not the only time I ever said that in my career. You know, I probably said it a few other times, and maybe it worked out, maybe it didn't. But in this case, I mean, to the extent that I could, without being
overly cocky or whatever and taking my mind away from what I was doing. I felt it. I mean, I knew I was on my game.
So for him to say that, it kind of was like, all right, we got to make this happen.
That's one sentiment. On the other hand, I saw a banner just below that said, "Hey, Justice, hope your bat is as big as your mouth." And a mixed reception. Mixed reception. When he was first introduced before the game, nothing but boos. Now as he comes to the plate, a mixture of boos and cheers.
Well, he got their attention, Bob. He really did.
Okay, so, you know, now we have an off day before Game 6, and so of course we work out, and the media, as quite so often, comes to my locker because, you know, I'm known to be a soundbite waiting to happen. So they start in with, "All Hershiser said all the pressure is on you guys." Okay. And I'm sitting there thinking about that comment, and I don't even like Hershiser. I don't even like pitchers other than the pitchers on my team. Like, I don't like pitchers. So he's a pitcher, and he's on the other team, and I don't like Hershiser. I love him now. It's my boy, because we became teammates. But at this point, I don't like Hershiser at all. So I tell the media, "You tell Hershiser I said," and I made a disparaging remark to him that begins with an F, him. "And if he wants some, come get some." I was dead serious because I felt like, oh, he's trying to get into the heads of our young players because we had a lot of young players on that team. Clance, I think Clance was first year. Chipper's really first year. Some of these guys are really young players. That's what I was thinking at the time, okay? And I said that, and I was dead serious. Then they said to me, "Well, Omar Vizquel said you guys have already lost 2 World Series. You guys can't win a World Series." I'm like, what did he say? Now, I didn't really know Omar. I thought I might have met Omar before. I didn't say anything disparaging to him. I can't really remember what my response was. But I was on the stove. Now you put a pot on the stove. I was on the stove now. And they done raised the temperature on me, right? And when I look back now, man, it's like I just wish I would have just been emotionally stronger. But I wasn't. I wasn't. So now I'm hot. And then for some reason, I just started thinking about the amount of support that their fans had given them in Cleveland. And I just felt like our fans could give us more. They weren't giving us what I felt like they could give us. I felt like they were treating it like a tennis match. Like they're watching the game, and then when something good happens, yay, instead of just yay the whole time, like Cleveland, all right? And I could understand it, man, because in 1991, they were like that. Because we went from worst to first, we were like shocking the world and the newness of it. 92, it was still there. But by 95, they had become kind of a little more complacent. A little more expecting us to be in the World Series. So our fans were kind of like just hanging out. And they weren't giving us what I felt like the Cleveland Indians fans were giving their players. And I knew that if our fans come out and act a fool on Game 6 and go crazy, I think that might help us, all right? So wake up the day of the game. I wake up to
Justice making headlines in the Atlanta papers this morning, criticizing Braves fans for being considerably less enthusiastic than they were in the World Series in 1991. Justice said, quote, "If we don't win, they'll probably burn our houses down." And here at Fulton County Stadium tonight, at least some of the fans responding to Dave Justice in kind.
So I said, you know, something about our fans need to show up for us. And I remember saying, if we don't win the World Series, they'll probably burn our houses down. Now, I wasn't being serious. That was just for effect, you know. And that was probably the pressure, too, you know, to be at the stress level that I was feeling at the time. Not wanting to lose another World Series and be down 0-3. Because now we're definitely going to be the Buffalo Bills of baseball. So, said what I said. The next morning, I wake up to Justice Slam's Braves fans. Not Justice Slam's Hershiser or Hershiser and Omar Vizquel. Put me against them two guys. But you're going to take the opportunity now to try to create this narrative that I'm trying to slam the Braves fans, which I didn't think that's what I was doing. But a lot of people only read the headlines. So now here I am.
Well, Dave and I, our lockers are right next to each other. So I could barely get dressed with all the reporters around him. But before BP and after BP and before the game and after they were all around him, right? And of course, he's a stand-up. He's stand up there, he's owning it, right? This is what I meant. We needed everybody to show up. We don't feel like that everybody's into this like they should be. Here we are, a chance to win the World Series.
But when I went out on the field to run, now I'm getting booed by my home fans. And now the pressure is mounting even more because I'm at home. We got to win one game. We're not on the road. I expect to be booed on the road. That just means I'm good. You know what I mean? But you booing me at home because of the headline, because if you actually read it, it wasn't as bad as the headline. Okay, so all the fellas will tell you, when you do me like this, you just make me mad now. Now you make me mad. Now I'm gonna really focus. You know what I mean? Now I'm ready. I'm ready to fight everybody.
There's one thing I'll tell you about David, and another thing that I respect about him. He plays better when he's pissed off, So I didn't have any doubt where his mind would be once the game started.
I remember being in the locker room, and when they do the I come out on the field, they do the announcements of the team, the lineup, and they boo me. Okay, all right, cool. Now the game starts, all right, because you can't run from it. It's here. So I remember my first at bat. I remember being on my knee. I remember correctly. I got the bat there, and I remember saying, "God, you have put me in a lot of tough situations, and you have always brought me out of them. Please bring me out of this one." That's literally what I said. And then now batting, number 23, right fielder, David Justice. And I remember putting a small smile on my face, and I went. And as I'm walking to the plate, I hear the boos, but I also hear some people clapping. And I remember my mind saying, you know what? I'm going to play for the people that are clapping for me tonight. And that night, my first at-bat, I walked. My second at-bat, I hit a double into the left center field gap.
Hit hard, left center field. Lofton sprinting over, can't get to it. Cuts it off before the track, but Justice will challenge him, sprinting for second and in with a double.
My level of focus on this night was at an all-time high. And all I was telling myself was, let's take it one at-bat at a time, one pitch at a time, total focus. Let's make this the best 4 or 5 at-bats of your life. Now I'm coming up with my third at-bat. They're not clapping for me yet now. I don't have the love and support of the fans yet. So I come up in my third at-bat, and they bring in Jim Poole. Now, Jim Poole came in at the bottom of the 5th inning to face Fred. And because we don't have interleague at this point, you only know guys off the other teams if maybe they play in the National League at some point. If not, I really don't know what you have until really like right now. And so whenever I face a guy for the first time, I'm just going to stay on the fastball to 2 strikes. Because most fastballs are pretty much around are the same. It's the breaking pitches that are different because, some curveballs are 12-6, some come this way, some are hard, some are softer. But fastballs are generally fastballs. And when he threw Fred McGriff 3 curveballs in a row in the bottom of the 5th, and Fred swung at all 3 of them, and they all would have been balls.
On 3 pitches, he ends the threat.
So when I go out into the outfield, top of the 6th inning, I'm setting my game plan for my at-bat in the bottom of the 6th inning. So when I come up in the bottom of the 6th inning, leading off, I say, okay, I'm going to stay on the fastball until 2 strikes. First pitch fastball away, okay, which was a ball, but the umpire called it a strike. Then the next pitch, fastball away for ball. Now it's 1-1. Now this is the count whereby if he's going to throw me a curveball, it's probably going to be right now. But I'm willing to take the curveball for a strike because I need to see his breaking ball for a strike. I need a reference point. I need to know does it start here? Does it start here? So if he throws me a breaking ball for a strike, I'll be able to see the height, where it starts. Because I'm not afraid to hit with 2 strikes. But if he throws me that breaking ball and he throws it for a strike, now I've seen his 2 main pitches. The fastball and breaking ball, I'll be comfortable hitting 1-2 against him. That was my mindset on that 1-1 pitch. So I told myself, so I'm staying on the fastball. Even though everything in me told me he's probably gonna throw a curve, I'm staying on the fastball. And he threw a fastball.
1-1 pitch. A long drive to right. Ramirez turns to the track. She's gone. Dave Justice, all is forgiven in Atlanta.
Bob, it's okay to talk the talk if you can walk the walk.
As soon as I hit it, I knew I got him. I knew it wasn't tape measure, but I know a home run. If it's an inch over the wall, I know I got you. And I knew I got him. And as soon as I hit it, I get chills now. As soon as I hit it, I start walking a little bit, running a little bit. I know it's gone. And I put my hand up in the air, right? And then as I round first, I do my customary pump. And then now I'm just running. But as I'm getting to each base, everything that I had gone through that day was starting to like just come upon me, because I could hear all the fans now clapping. Whereas I was just being booed like I was the enemy. And so if you ever watch it, when I come around third, when I get the home plate and I go, yeah, like that, it was like, yeah. And then it was like, and F all of y'all who were booing me. And I'm gonna say it on camera because that's how I felt that day. Not the people that was cheering for me, but all y'all that were booing for me, the dude who lived and died with the Braves, the rookie of the year, the guy who was always in his locker answering for us, always talking positive about the team, always talking positive about my teammates. Ask any of my teammates how supportive I am. Ask any young player that's ever been around me how supportive I am. Yeah, and y'all gonna boo me because y'all didn't like what I said? Okay, well, yeah, here's your home run. I was happy as heck though, I didn't get a home run. I was happy that I did a home run.
The 1-1 pitch. Fastball swung on and belted. Deep right field. Back goes Ramirez. That ball is gone. Home run. This crowd on its feet for David Justice right now. Baseball Network showed a sign earlier. It said, "Justice, I hope your bat is as big as your mouth." Well, he's letting his bat do the talking. A double and a homer tonight, and the Braves lead it 1-0.
What a better guy than Dave Justice to step up the plate and hit the home run for Glavine. You know, the day before, Justice, you know, was kind of in a little bit of a pickle with the fans in Atlanta. But once he hit that home run, it was all forgotten, and Justice was the hero.
And Dave was a very good hitter, and so for him to get in there and hit that home run, and you were watching that ball, and you're like, "Yes, sir." You know, so it was beautiful.
For him to deliver and hit that ball, that was pretty amazing.
And then I got to say, what David Justice went through, being a roommate of his in AAA and loving to play with David, there's no sweeter satisfaction. I understand what he said. We all had made mistakes in the emotion of being accurate, but probably looking back and going, probably shouldn't have said that. I've done that many times. And it just was taken in the wrong context. So to imagine playing in a World Series and getting booed, but then being the hero is, it's a sweet revenge, right? Not revenge is not even the word. It's just to go through that and be able to deliver. So happy for him.
They bring in the lefty to face Justice, and high and inside fastball. I still don't know how he got to it, but the second he hit it, I think we all I think everybody in Atlanta didn't breathe for like, 5 or 6 seconds. But when it disappeared behind that giant blue wall out there, everybody just went, "Oh, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you," and for it to be David, it was very, very apropos, I think we knew that he had the weight of the world on his shoulders, and to talk the talk and walk the walk, that's a stick your chest out kind of moment for a grown man. So happy it was him.
Especially with Glavine tonight. McGriff. Glavine covers. A one-hitter through 8. An inning away from the end of a 5-year quest for the Atlanta Braves.
Glavine said he was done after, 1-0. He said, "I'm tired." I said, "You sure?" He goes, "Yeah." And Bobby said, "Well, what was he's in?" They said, "Glav pitched a great game. One hitter."
As a closer, I would always play catch with the outfielders, starting around like when we were at home. I played catch with Justice starting around the 6th or 7th inning, just so my arm could start getting loose in case Bobby says, "Hey, we need you to get a hot quick." So I was always preparing, even though we were cruising right along. The game was cruising right along. Preparing myself, that was the role that I'd had, for the majority of the year. So I was preparing myself like I would any other game. That okay, it's close, and you got to be ready if the phone rings. And I think after when Tommy sat him down after the top of the 8th inning, the phone rang down, and Ned Yost said, "Well, you got the night."
If the Braves win it here, it'll be especially sweet for people like Tom Glavine, David Justice, Mark Lemke, Steve Avery, Kent Merker, John Smoltz, Rafael Belliard, Jeff Blauser, Wohlers, the man on the mound now, Bobby Cox, the pitching coach Leo Mazzone, because they were all here for the near misses in 91 and in 92, and in the LCS against the Phillies in 93.
I didn't think about, oh my gosh, we get 3 outs for the World Championship. Those thoughts didn't go through your mind, It's like, okay, Ned, who do we got?
3 outs away from the one thing they haven't achieved in half a decade, and a strike to Kenny Lofton.
This is the key hitter of the inning because he cannot stop Lofton from stealing a base if he happens to get on. So he needs to get Lofton out.
I'm sitting there at the top of the ninth inning, it's 1-0, and here is Kenny Lofton leading off, and I'm like, oh my God. Oh my God, Lord, please don't let Kenny get on base. Don't let me get on base, Lord, because he's going to tie it up. He'll still second and third. He'll score. It's 1-1, and here we go.
Kenny Lofton was the Ricky Henderson, of that day and age. He was the Jose Reyes of, a few years later. Willie Wilson, Vince Coleman. He was that guy. He could turn a single into a triple. He could turn a walk into a triple in 2 pitches. Very efficient at stealing bases, very adept at stealing bases. Got to keep him off the base paths. But again, we've got 100-mile-an-hour Mark Wohlers, the flamethrower in the bullpen. He made a great pitch. Fastball up and in. When the ball went up, I turned and I put my head down and I was like running to a spot before I would look up. And when I got to the back of the infield, I looked up and I was like, oh man, I'm not gonna be able to get there. And then all of a sudden,
A blooper and foul ground. Belliard racing over, backhanded grab.
the guy with the angle, Rafael Belliard, comes flying over and backhands it like this, and I was like, you could see me in the video. I got chill bumps, I'm sorry. But you could see me in the video go, yes!
Mark into the wind. The 2-1 pitcher to Swan popped up. Short left field. Everybody chasing it. Belliard's got it in foul territory. Great play. 1 out.
I really felt like if we kept him off base, that we were going to win the baseball game.
Before we take the field, everybody was talking, we got to get this guy out. We got to get it no matter what. So when we take the field, it was, I want the ball hitting to me.
The whole key to that whole inning was, Rafael Belliard, that play he made really got, doesn't get enough credit because he had to run a long way to make that catch.
Still kind of a toss-up if he gets on base, but I really felt like we keep him off base, and I'm sure a bunch of the other guys felt the same way I did. We keep him off the base, we win this game. We're going to start fitness for rings,
I knew that we'd won the World Series after he popped Kenny Lofton up in the 9th inning. Then I knew we had it.
When Kenny Lofton popped out to Pac-Man, Rafael Belliard, when Belliard caught that ball, I said, oh my God, we're about to win the World Series. We're about to win.
He'll send up Sorrento, a 25-home run man, hopeful that Wohlers makes a mistake, and Sorrento can tie it. Sorrento had a pinch hit double off Wohlers in Game 4. Center field, Grissom, lots of room, 1 out away.
And but it's funny because it wasn't that great of the pitch. It was I had him out in front a little bit. It was a breaking ball that I left up a little bit. Fortunately, he just got underneath it. I got him out on the front foot.
Well, Wohlers looks really good. He was throwing heat, was throwing hard. I'm like, if they hit this guy, I'm really gonna give him, credit because he was delivering that night. But once he got the first 2 out, I was like, all right, one more out.
And it all comes down to this. Carlos Baerga, who hit 15 home runs this year, is the batter. 1 more little out.
Carlos had a great career. Was a great hitter. That's unbelievable seasons. For whatever reason, we made some good pitches to him that season, or that series, and had a lot of success against him. So I knew I was going to go out with my fastball away, try to get ahead with him, strike 1. If he took it, hopefully it was going to be a strike. If he swung, maybe he fouled off and I could get ahead.
And when Carlos first hit it, I thought it was gone. When he first hit it, I was leaning in right field, leaning like this. Then I saw Marquise on his giddy up.
Everything went into slow motion. And it was like I was running in slow motion. The ball was coming in slow motion.
I felt like time really completely stopped. So kind of like the ball in the air stopped. It took forever to come down into Marquise Grissom's glove.
Mark gets the sign. The wind and the pitch. Here it is. Swung. Fly ball deep left center. Grissom on the run. Yes! 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 The Atlanta Braves have given you a championship. Listen to this crowd. A mob scene on the field. Rollers get them 1, 2, 3. A couple of fans rushing on the field. And the constables restrain them. The Atlanta Braves have brought the first championship to Atlanta.
When it was hit, in my mind, it was pretty much like we just won the World Series. We won the World Series, and I'm at home. I live in Atlanta. I'm from Atlanta, and we won a World Series, and I'm a part of that. And that's what went through my mind when that ball was hit. And then after I ran after the ball, and I kind of put my hands up before I caught it, as in, yeah, we won. But it was an easy routine catch. The catch I done made 1,000 times in batting practice. So it was routine. I didn't penny out in sweat.
And once you caught that ball, it was like a flashback from the beginning of the season and everything we went through to get to that point. And all of a sudden, everything exploded, like, happiness. It was best moment you can ever imagine once they catch that ball. Because in baseball, nothing is over until you make that last out. Anything can happen. As a matter of fact, the other day, my son had a baseball game, and we were winning. The other team scored 8 runs after 2 outs. I know it's little league, but that can happen in the big league too. So once he got that last out, I was like, wow. People are already expecting for us to win, but I wasn't, quite there yet until he really made that last out. And when he caught it, I was like, oh my God.
He catches it, pandemonium, bruh. I'm just jumping up and down, running toward the infield.
That fly ball took about 30 seconds to hit his glove, and the whole time just like kind of backpedaling towards the mound because I know we're about to have a mob scene. And when it disappeared into his glove, I turned around and you can see me, I got a mouthful of chewing tobacco and I'm just screaming bloody murder. And
my first instinct was to jump in top of Wallers. I knew I was heavy and I probably could have break his back. But at that moment, I wasn't thinking.
I don't know. I just remember, spinning around in circles and then seeing Javier come running at me, and and then Javier just leaped up and I just caught him, and I kind of like blacked out after that.
Javi jumps into Woe's arms, and I'm just kind of like hugging them both and kind of looking around, making sure I don't get hit, from the side anywhere. And then obviously we go over, and to have thousands of pounds of humanity on top of you, and it's so loud you can't even hear the crowd. All the guys are just screaming like, yeah, I can't believe we did it, da 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 da. And yeah, elation to say the least. It was awesome.
I mean, it's something that you can't really describe, honestly. It's something that you don't know either to cry, to laugh. It's an emotion that, that only or less than 1% of people experience that. So, when I was running, I didn't know if I was going straight, sideways. I didn't know what was going on.
It's just one of those unforgettable things because you're seeing him Grissom making that catch and raising his fist up and running and stuff like that, and everybody gathering in infield and jumping on each other and so forth. It was just it's one of those. It's kind of like undescribable because it's the ultimate. You dream about it. And then finally, you accomplish it.
Pretty special. I mean, it was pretty special. We won our state championship in high school, and we all ran out on the field. We had a big dog pile, and it was special. My junior year, we won state, and then it wasn't again until 95, 10 years later, that I was able to actually have that feeling again. And to do it now, it's on the big stage. It's in, it's on TV and everybody sees it and everybody's taking your picture and all that. It was obviously more special, but again, it was the second time you kind of won the ultimate prize, and just a very rewarding feeling.
Harrah is 0 for 3. Left center field. Grissom on the run. The team of the 90s has its world championship.
You get like, they say when you're dying, you get flashback of your whole life. I got all the flashback of high school, college, minor leagues, everything. Oh, my God, World Series,
When you spend 24 years in the minor leagues, and then and this is happening in Atlanta and with the Braves, it's quite satisfying for sure. I mean, I try to find words to describe it, but you can't. You really can't. It gives you a great deal of satisfaction.
It's almost like you're floating on air, right? Because you everything, you don't know who to hug, you don't know what to do, or run to, or but it's like since I was 5. I mean, that's the backyard, throwing rocks, hitting it with a stick.
It's like surreal. It's everything goes through your mind. You're trying not to think about it while you're playing. There's a lot of emotions. It's like you can't believe it. You're like a 4-year-old in your body, running around. Oh my God, but you're trying to play cool, like I'm a professional. But it's just like you would imagine it when you were a kid playing Sandlot when you were 8.
It's almost a blank. You can remember everything that led up to it. From the short spring training to the regular season grind to the opening up in Colorado, and then all of a sudden, boom, it was over. And we won. And I just go, I was very happy that we were world champions.
Again, it's another one of those moments in time where it seemed like it lasted a couple minutes. In reality, it was a couple seconds. But, that time it took to run from the dugout after Marquise caught that ball and dogpile on the mound, all that stuff goes through your mind. That we've been at this since early spring training. We've been close. We've been the team in the other dugout that's had to watch this a couple times. Now here we are. We're the ones getting to do it. All that in such a short period of time, all that goes through your head. And I just remember getting out there and again, obviously the elation of, hey, we're world champ. We're the last guy standing. But then the relief of, oh my God, we did it. So it was, there were a lot of emotions and a good portion of it was relief for sure.
Oh yes. So I remember the parade. They had us set up on these huge fire engines, and they had the coaches on one, the starting pitchers on one, the relievers on one, the infielders on one, and the outfielders on the other. And so I was sitting behind Justice, and obviously Justice served, hit that home run. And there's almost 1 million people there. And as we're driving through the crowd slowly, when everybody saw Justice, they all went crazy, right? And that lasted for 3 hours. And so 3 hours of constant cheering caused my ears to ring for 3 days. I honestly didn't think it was gonna stop. But yes, it was quite amazing. You dream of winning World Series as a kid, but you can't imagine it until it happens.
You saw the elation from a city that had been on the doorstep, for so long, that had been craving a world championship. When we were on those fire trucks coming down Peachtree in the middle of downtown, ticker tape everywhere, 50, 100 people deep on both sides of the street, hundreds of thousands of people there. You really realized that how much they've been craving this, and I gotta admit, coming up through the minors, I was always rooting for the Braves, but there's a little a part of me that didn't want him to do it until I got there, you know, because I wanted to be a part of it, you know, and I hate to admit that, but I think if most of the guys in the minors were honest with themselves, they'd probably tell you the same way. I'm very honest. I was like, man, 94 or 95, you know, whatever it is.
You know, I guess as a player, when you're out on the field, you don't. There's 50,000 people in the stands. You can't hear. It just sounds like white noise. But when you're in a parade, you're taking in your surroundings and you see the effect that it has on so many people and the joy that it brings them. You really feel like, you know, you realize you accomplished something, you know, much bigger than yourselves and much bigger than your team. You know, it's for a whole region, a whole city. And it's a pretty proud moment.
It was hard to believe how many people show up and how many people were there to support us and cheer for us. It was pretty impressive. It was one of the best feelings in the world.
Oh, it was unbelievable. It's, you know, when we lost in 91, so we say, wow, we got to go back and win, you know, because for the fans, and I think we did it for the fans and you know, for the whole city of Atlanta. Then when we win, you say, wow, now I'm a champion.
From day one, the Braves fans, they had a lot of love for me. And so to finally be able to be a part of a great thing, and like you say, first championship in the city of Atlanta history, I mean, you can't beat it, because you know, Atlanta's Atlanta. I mean, it's a beautiful city, and it's the Southern folks, because I grew up here in Tampa, and so it's just something about, you know, Southern folks.
We do have great fans, and we did have great fans. And a lot of our great fans were at home watching on TV because they can't afford to be there. And as I travel, since being retired, all over the world, all over this country, I meet so many Atlanta Braves fans, bro. And it's always a joy to run into the Braves fans. And if they want to reminisce about that night, I'm all for it. I'll take them through the whole at bat.
What an incredible moment for the city of Atlanta. You know, Bobby Cox, Sherhost, the guys who put that team together, man, and allowed us to go out there and play at free will, I would say. And that's the kind of manager that, you know, that you want to play for in Bobby Cox. And so I was happy for everybody, the city, the team, the organization, and to be from Atlanta, man, it's no better feeling than to win in your hometown.
I mean, after 4 or 5 years of just really, you know, being right on the cusp of making it. I mean, not 91, I mean, you can't get any closer to lose that one. And then, you know, so to be able to finish it off was awesome.
When you win as a team, and again, as close as we got all those years with basically the same dudes, and you don't finish, it's tough. And when you finally put it all together and win it, there's no better feeling on the planet. None.
To do it with my boys, who several of them I played in the minor leagues with. Dudes like Smoltz, who was like my brother, you know, all the way back to the minor leagues. Lemke, like my brother, all the way back to A-ball. You know, Blauser, all the way back to A-ball. Like, you know, we go all the way back to the trenches, all the way back to playing in those small towns where when you walk outside the hotel, you outside, you walk outside your room, you outside, you know, with the air conditioning unit against the wall on the ground, you know what I mean? With the Denny's across the street or a Waffle House across the street. You know, I go all the way back there with these guys. All of us back then as youngsters trying to make it to the big leagues, playing these small towns, you know what I mean? Not making no money, but hanging out with each other all the time, becoming like brothers. And here we are. We have accomplished the dream, the goal. In Atlanta, one of the best cities in the world, in the 90s, where so much was going on in Atlanta.
Honestly, I don't know how much the turmoil, so to speak, of what I went through early in the year because of the strike really factored in. I think it was more, for me, it was more the relief of we did it, you know, and especially given how close we had gotten, but even more so, that team was largely intact. You know, a lot of us went through 91, 92, 93. So to have gotten so close and not been able to win it, and now finally win it with a lot of the same guys that you'd been through the wars with, to me, that was the most gratifying part of it.
To be standing there in the middle of that field, be the last team standing, when we set out at Valentine's Day that year for that specific goal at Halloween, to be the last team standing, to be, you know, the cat's meow, if you will, in the city of Atlanta. There's no greater feeling than that. I mean, we play a team sport. Everybody can, you can have all these individual accolades. You can have MVPs and, you know, stuff like that. But that ring right there, you know, those 2 rings that I have, that's as good as it gets. That's all I ever wanted.
It literally was the best experience you could ever have as an athlete, as a baseball player, to win the World Series at home in front of our fans, finally getting over the hump, finally reaching the destination that we started in 1991, finally getting there and winning it. To that date was the best experience that you could ever have, man.
We finally did it. You know, we've had the Falcons here, we've had the Hawks, we got the Braves, you know, the Flames, and all those teams that have been there. And we finally have a team that's won a world championship, and so those fans can enjoy that. And so you, from a player's perspective, being able to be a part of that it's like a gift. So. For me personally, and this is emotional to me because I grew up watching the Braves. I got to play for them, and to give that gift to them, that's all you can do.
First thing I want to say is I really appreciate how our fans really showed our team a lot of support tonight. It was something we really needed, and they were the biggest factor tonight. They were the ones that kept us going, and I just want to thank them all for all the support tonight.
Mike Hargrove had the best hitting team in baseball, but they were no match for the Atlanta Braves pitching staff. And fittingly, the man who won Game 2 and Game 6 will be presented the MVP trophy.
Everybody in here did what we needed him to do, and if I could cut this thing up into 25 pieces, everybody in here deserves it because it took a total team effort for us to win this thing.
I think it's great for Tom. I think he really went through a lot, especially early in the season, and you know, he came up through the organization. I think it's great that he did what he did for this city.
Mark Lemke and Steve Avery, can you describe what this means to the franchise, what your emotions are at this point?
Right now, this is the most incredible thing I've ever felt in my life. All us guys, we came a long way together. We've been through some tough times in this organization, but we pulled together and we finally accomplished a dream and a goal of ours that we set a long time ago.
You know, I'm just so happy for Tommy and the way he pitched tonight, and you know, for all these guys standing up here.
Our players from the day one of spring training wanted to win this thing. That was their goal, and they finally achieved it.